Welcome to Stories in the Seventh State, where we bring Maryland stories to life. I'm your host, Shane Hall, and each week we'll explore the real, the remarkable, and the rarely told stories that shape life in the Seventh State. From local legends to hidden histories and modern-day makers, these are the stories that define Maryland. In the mid-bay waters of Maryland, a town once stood. A church, a school, ball games on summer afternoons. Today, only the tide remembers. This is the story of Holland Island. It was built on soft ground, alive with families, and then, within a single lifetime, it was undone by water in time. What vanished here wasn't just land. It was home. Holland Island sat between Smith and Bloodsworth in Dorchester County. 3 miles of low ground stitched together by marsh and sandy rims. By about 1910, roughly 360 people lived here in some 60 homes with 7 stores, a church, a 2-room schoolhouse. Kids learned their letters and watermen learned the tides. On Sundays, you'd hear hymns. On weekdays, the slap of skiff hulls and the clatter of oyster dredges. The men worked the winter bars for oysters and chased shad and crabs when the weather turned. On game days, the homegrown baseball team piled into boats to play on neighbor islands. It was a real place, with arguments at the store counter, porch talk about prices, and who could point to the place where the ground ended and the bay began. But here's the problem. Holland Island sat on clay and silt, not rock. The island's west side took the bay's fetch head on. And with every nor'wester, waves just shaved a little more off the bank. The land itself was sinking, part of a slow geologic settling in the mid-Atlantic. And over the same century, the ocean rose. The math is simple. Soft shores, plus waves, plus a slowly sinking coast, plus rising water. The edges give first, then the yards, then the floorboards. Neighbors started jacking up houses on cribbing to get a few more years. In living memory, Holland Island lost roughly half of its area. What had once been solid ground blurred to marsh, and marsh to open water. One winter tells you everything about island life. In 1912, the Chesapeake Bay was locked up in ice. It was a brutal winter. Newspapers on the mainland were blaring, "Starvation on Holland." It's funny, people did hear gunshots, some other things, or at least they thought it was gunshots, that winter, coming from Holland Island's direction. They feared the worst. But a cutter hacked down the bay to rescue what they thought were the marooned people of Holland Island. And when the men finally stepped ashore, they found children ice skating. The islanders had enough food. What they really wanted was lubricating oil, maybe a little baking powder. They even invited their rescuers in for dinner. Gunfire that people had heard on the wind. It was duck hunters. There just happened to be a bunch of ducks floating through one day. It wasn't distress. This was a hard place, but it was theirs. By the mid-1910s, water was at the front steps. Families didn't flee in one night, they planned. Houses were jacked up, they were dismantled, and floated away, sometimes intact on barges, sometimes as piles of numbered boards. The school and the church went too. Lumber, windows, and doors reappeared on the mainland in places like Crisfield, Cambridge, Fairmount. A tropical storm in 1918 damaged the island's church. The last family left soon after. A handful of watermen returned seasonally when the church building itself was moved to Fairmount. After that, Holland Island was mostly pilings, marsh, and a ghost of fences. But the community didn't disappear. It moved. The island's boards and stories live in town blocks and family names on the shore. It's a funny thing, relocating, picking up your life, picking up everything. But in the chaos, or controlled chaos of the move, getting people off of the island to the mainland, one house stayed. It was a 2-story Victorian, built circa 1888. It was the last property that was ever built on Holland Island. By the 1990s, it stood in water at high tide, a gray shingled box that seemed to float. In 1995, a retired waterman and Methodist minister named Stephen White bought most of what remained. That man laid timbers. He stacked sandbags. He dragged tons of rock by hand to armor the shore. He even tried installing breakwaters. He tried sinking a barge in there to stop the abuse from the waves. But it wasn't enough. Hurricane Isabel in 2003 sent waves through the kitchen. He repaired it and kept going. During the time of Stefan's ownership, he tried beyond the things that we had mentioned. He had applied for grants and help from different agencies around the state and was so close to getting them, so close to getting projects that would have saved this island. But it didn't happen. It wasn't part of God's plan. For 15 years, Stephen White worked against a physics problem bigger than one man. This was subsidence in rising water. He loved the place anyways. You gotta admire that in a man. Somebody that stands for something, that does whatever it takes, even if it might be a lost cause. He loved this place anyways. In 2010, sick and 80, he ended up selling the property to a foundation run by a Falls Church investor who hoped to protect what was left. But unfortunately, as we know now, they weren't able to. That fall, after heavy weather, the last house on Holland Island broke at the spine. Walls folded, floors slid, and in a single low-tide afternoon, history became wreckage. Visitors that week saw a bed jutting from the second story, white sheets snapping in the wind. The image traveled everywhere. It was the end of an era, a warning about places just inches above the tide. The funny thing about Holland Island's story is it's not spooky, it's not a mystery, it's no ghost tale. The problem with Holland Island is simply its makeup. It was built on clay and silt banks exposed to long fetch waves, the coast sinking a couple meters a year and sea rising roughly 4 millimeters a year in the lower Chesapeake. You stack those odds against each other and a small island disappears first. Funny thing is, too, this isn't the only island that the Chesapeake Bay has swallowed over the years, but it might be the largest. Maryland has been losing land to the bay for generations. Holland Island is scattered now. Part of it sits on streets in Crisfield. Part of it worships in Fairmount. Most of it's marsh, awash in high tide with seagulls on the posts where porches used to be. If you go looking for a ghost here, you're not going to expect a figure in white. On the Chesapeake, the ghost is the water. Holland Island has history. Just because it's not standing there today with bustling commerce or families enjoying the land, it doesn't mean it didn't happen. And that's part of the reason that we bring these stories to our audience. We want people to remember history. Oftentimes it can repeat itself, but it also teaches us lessons. This was Stories in the Seventh State. Subscribe for the next chapter of Maryland Stories. Thank you so much for listening to the House Cats Podcast Network. I am your host, Shane Hall. We've got a series of different shows and stuff that we'd like to do on the podcast, and each one of them just is something that interests us and excites us, be it stories about Maryland, exciting developments in real estate, or movies we love, or people that we enjoy being around. We just enjoy their stories. And we're so grateful to have your ears and attention. And we're hopeful that we continue to earn that and earn your trust and respect. So in saying that, this week we've released a new open floor episode. It's a pretty short one. It's a 12-minute and some change episode on Maryland real estate disclosure law, basically a Cliff Notes version of it. But we hope you find that information helpful. We're also going to be releasing another episode in a few days, another night shift episode. We're still stuck on this Halloween season kick, and I believe we're going to do Van Helsing. So fun little Hugh Jackman, Kate Beckinsale movie. That's my time for today. Again, appreciate you.